And yes, here we are for another video. This is my old Kevlar. This is the second cover I had to replace while I was overseas. The original one was so badly torn up, I had to throw it away and put a new one on it. The new one lasted about roughly 3 months before I came back. So anyway, what we're going to talk about is smuggling. While I was overseas, during my second tour overseas, we were stationed in Kuwait, Camp Virginia, and we would do convoy missions all over into Iraq. And our second base, our second FOB, was actually in Iraq in Camp Cedar. And we also had a sister unit that was in Baghdad, so we did a lot of driving. But I wanted to talk to you about something that some of our guys were doing and being clever about it. And since places like Kuwait and Iraq and Afghanistan are what we call dry countries, unlike Vietnam, where they had hookers, drugs, and all that other bullshit, go out to the field for a couple weeks, come back in to the rear, drink a fuckload of beers, chill out, do you a little bit of weed or whatever. Inside of these countries, because of the political situation and culture awareness, it was a dry country. So the only things you can do is write letters, do emails, play video games, and work out. But in this video, we're going to talk about some of my fellow soldiers are very clever about getting illicit drugs into country and how they did it. For example, you guys remember the famous Happy flashlight? They would have these things sent, if you need a new one. Sometimes you can get it at supply, or sometimes you have somebody at home send it to you. So when they go through customs, they really don't look. They're like, oh, wow, flashlight. Slide it over. Go to the next guy, drop it back inside your care package. But these guys would open the bottom up and stuff it full of pills, hydrocodone, LSD or whatever pills. Screw that sumbitch on. And in some cases, they would put a little bit of Gorilla Glue. Make sure it doesn't get opened up while it's being inspected. I've seen guys do that shit. Also, if you want to smuggle in weed or any other kind of drugs, then you usually would have something put in it, like this. Stuff your marijuana in it, or your pills, or whatever kind of illicit drugs. They would have somebody send shampoo to them, or conditioner. Pop the top off, drain it all out, stuff whatever you have inside, a whole bunch of it, turn around and put all the shampoo, as much as it can hold, put it back in. Fill it back up, clean the hell out of it. Then, they're like, well, we better check it. They would crazy glue the lid on. So that way, when whoever's doing the inspection don't bother. They're like, oh, wow, yeah, it's the seal is not broken. And they would crazy glue it close. So by the time they get to the little hooch or wherever they're at, they would just break that mother open, dump that shit out, take out their bag of shit, have a good time. Now, they did the same thing with alcohol. Now, the problem with alcohol in country is that you put it inside any kind of container that seems suspicious. I mean, take rubbing alcohol. You can have your parents or your brothers or whatever send you a whole fuckload of these inside a care package. Now, if this rubbing alcohol shows up and it's brown, something kind of funny going on. So just bust open that thing, pour it all out. Put Southern Comfort in it, which is clear, or vodka. Crazy glue it, screw it back on. Oh wow, it's all it is just rubbing alcohol. We had a lot of drunk soldiers running around our fob. Also another one, the famous mouthwash. Or a lot of guys that use scope. What they do, crack that sucker open, break the seal from the inside, pour it all out, pour your vodka, your Southern Comfort, whatever other clear liquids in there, and they would put, especially for the green scope bottles, green dye, food dye, just tons and tons and tons of it. Just squirt it in to make sure it turns green. So everybody goes, oh wow, that's scope. And they turn around, they glue the top back on, they crazy glue it, twist it. Looks like green scope. You could do the same thing with different colors of mouthwash, like this, which is yellow. But this has been badly faded. Do the same thing. Just pour in your Southern Comfort or whatever, yellow dye. Glue it back on, antiseptic mouthwash. And since Customs is so lazy, they were like, oh wow, mouthwash, throw it back inside your care package box. So, how do I know this stuff? Well, it's because the number of people was drunk. Some were high as fucking kites. And it took a long time before someone caught on what's going on. And what triggered that, besides looking like you're drunk on duty, especially in Kuwait, there's nothing going on. It's allegedly a war zone when there's no shots fired. So those guys would come staggering in at their guard post or whatever, and they'd be fucked up. And then, of course, the officers or the higher-ranking NCOs think, they got the stuff locally. I don't know how, but they got it locally. And since it's a country of Muslims allegedly doesn't drink alcohol. So they don't get it. So what brought this on was we had a brand new 1151 Humvee. We had 3 of them that just showed up. They had less than 100 miles on them. So we do a mission going up north from Camp Virginia, Kuwait, past Kabari, going to Camp Cedar. Drop off some whites, some trucks. Apparently those jackasses, while they're waiting to make the return trip, one of the gun truck guys broke open his bottle of scope and he passed it around to the driver. It was the track commander, an E5. Bust that sumbitch out, start drinking, pass it to his friggin' driver. He's sitting there busting out drinking. And then to the guy up in the turret. He bust that thing out, start drinking. They were supposed to hydrate. It was 125 degrees at 12:30 at night. He'd be drinking water like crazy, but instead, they drank the entire bottle of scope, which was vodka. So as reported, as they got out the door, they're driving along, they're going down the MSR. All you see is taillights, headlights, till eventually one of the gun trucks saw the taillights of the vehicle in front of them go off the road and flip end over end. So, all 3 of the soldiers got badly hurt. The brand new gun truck was wrecked. And when the medics got there, they had to be medevaced out. It was a big, big deal. It was a big, big deal. I mean, we went all the way back to a battalion headquarters back in Kuwait, and they're like, what the hell's going on? They had to medevac them out to Baghdad, where they had to get, they broke legs and arms, and found out they were all drunk. They were drunk. So they looked inside the wrecked vehicle and found 2 more scope bottles They broke them open. Vodka. So when the news went back to Camp Virginia, all as I know is a day and a half later, they called the entire battalion together who was not on duty or doing missions up north or in Camp Cedar, Baghdad, Mosul, and some of the other places. Everybody who was in Kuwait all got together